All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. The Niners get a break and pick up a pretty good football player. We'll talk about that coming up next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. If you are looking for sports cards or collectibles, call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. All right, 49ers signed a veteran cornerback special teamer, Nick McCloud, to their practice squad away from the New York Giants. And this is a break. This is a good football player. I've liked this guy for a number of years. He started at NC State. He was a grad transfer to Notre Dame and went undrafted coming out of Notre Dame, and has played in the league for Buffalo, for Cincinnati, the New York Giants, and now, of course, the 49ers. And they signed him to their practice squad. He was let go Tuesday by the New York Giants for refusing to take a pay cut. He's got a 1-year, $3 million deal. He refused to take a pay cut. He wanted to be on a winning team. The Giants are obviously not a winning team. So he comes to the Niners and is on their practice squad. And he started, he's played in 7 games this year. He started 5. So he had 5 starts this year for the Giants. He played 90 snaps in coverage and allowed only 9 receptions for 170 yards and a touchdown. He's a core special teamer. He's been a very, very good special teamer, and he's been a gunner. If you watch the film, he wore number 44 for the New York Giants. The Niners, because he's on the practice squad, they can elevate him to the active roster 3 times while leaving him on the practice squad. So he can stay on the practice squad, and if he stays on the practice squad, he can be elevated to the 53-man roster 3 times between now and the end of the year. The Niners need as much help as they can get on special teams. They're 30th in special teams DVOA. And here comes McLeod, who's a very, very good special team player. He's a good athlete. 6'1", 195 pounds. He was a size speed guy coming out. Now, the tape didn't match the size and speed that he demonstrated at his pro day. He went to high school in South Carolina. As I said, he started at NC State, grad transfer to Notre Dame. He's got 704 career special team snaps. So he's played the gunner spot. He's played a bunch of different spots on the coverage units. He's a really top tier special teamer. Smart, athletic, fast. You know, this is a guy who's got a lot of the traits. As I said, 6'1", 195 pounds. He ran 4.46 coming out of Notre Dame at the combine. 157 10-yard split, but he's got great measurables. I mean, he's got size, he's got speed. As I said, 4.4 speed on 6'1", 195 pounds. He also has elite quickness. 6.93 was the 3-cone number. 4.16 is his short shuttle number. Those numbers both show elite quickness. So he's a very quick player. He's a good tackler. He's a physical football player. He's not the twitchiest athlete you've ever seen, but this is a guy who is going to be a Niner, not just for a day. I think this guy's going to be a Niner going forward into next year. You know, the Niners have done this the last couple of years. They've made some pickups late in the year that are guys that they really like, and they're just kind of gathering them. I mean, give you an example. Sam Aquinu was signed last year in December, and I did an interview with him at his locker in December, and I'm like, "Hey, Sam, man, pretty athletic, background at Maryland. There's a lot of good traits here. What have the Niners told you?" And they're like, "Hey, they said we liked you. We've liked you for a while. Come in, learn our system, work out, get ready for an off. You're not going to play this year unless it's an emergency. Get ready for a big off season and get ready to come back here next year and fight for a spot in camp." And that's what Sam did. And Sam has been a real regular now for the 49ers on their defensive front. He mans the defensive tackle spot in their NASCAR package. He can play opposite Nick Bosa and provide a little heat on the quarterback. He's really good against the run. So I think Nick McLoud in a lot of ways is the same thing. 49ers are 54 million under the cap, but a lot of that money is earmarked for Brock Purdy. It's very likely at the end of the year the Niners are going to have to say goodbye to a lot of good players. I would say it's almost a lock that Mooney Ward is going to have to be moving on because of the money he makes, and there's a chance the Niners may have to say goodbye to Demo Lenore as well. If they're going to pay Brock Purdy going rate for quarterbacks, that's probably going to be north of $50 million. And that means they're going to be squeezed on the cap, which means that, going into the year, I think most of us thought, okay, this is the last year for one of these corners. It's either going to be Demo they go with and say goodbye to Mooney, or they're going to go with Mooney and say goodbye to Demo. Banks is also a free agent at the end of the year. They're starting left guard. And some of these guys are going to have to be sacrificed just because of the cap pinch that the 49ers find themselves in. Enter McCloud, who I think can play some corner. He's not just a special teamer. I mean, he's an elite special teamer, but I think he's a pretty good depth piece at corner and a guy who can help them right away. So I like this player. He's fast. He's physical. He's smart. He's got special teams ability. He's gotten better since he was in college at NC State and at Notre Dame. He's got size, he's got speed, he's incredibly physical, and as I said, he's very, very smart player. So, and you can see it on film. He makes a lot of plays on special teams. He's been a really consistent special team contributor. They need that right now. I mean, once they took Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa off of their coverage units and put them as starters on their defense, that meant that they needed to find other replacement special teamers to take their spot. And they really have had a hard time finding those pieces. And because of it, their coverage units have been lacking. So the 49ers are 30th in the league in special teams. And today they added a very, very good special teamer in Nick McCloud. I love it. I think it's a great signing. One, because he's got a lot of experience playing special teams. Two, because he's not old. We're talking about guys 25, 26. In a lot of ways, he's the physical prototype. Now, a lot of the measurables don't necessarily match up on the film as far as he's got great size and speed, but he doesn't necessarily mirror as well as I would want starting caliber corner to mirror. But the one thing about him is he definitely is in good shape. Football is very important to him. You can see the football intellect on film. He's obviously a very smart player. And to me, it's like when you have size and speed, that's one thing. But a lot of times, most of the guys that have size and speed, where they struggle is they have no quickness. And the game is about being quick. The game, you have to have quickness to be a good football player, whether offense, defense, or special teams. And this guy does have elite quickness. So good size, good speed, not old, special teams experience, can play from scrimmage as a corner, can play special teams as a gunner, could wind up being an elite special teams player. A lot of my friends who cover the New York Giants are like, man, watch Nick McCloud go out to San Francisco and really contribute. This guy got cut, but it wasn't because he couldn't play. It was because it didn't fit into their plan financially. And so they move him on. But the Niners are getting a really good, conscientious, hardworking football player who can contribute on special teams and from scrimmage. And when you can do that on the 11th of November, it just doesn't happen that often. It's not common to pick up good contributing football players in the month of November. But the Niners, I think, did exactly that with Nick McCloud. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.